Welcome, everyone. Hi, my name is Sonia Miller. I am a fulfillment and empowerment coach, and I help accomplished professional women who keep settling for less to make the small shifts that bring big abundance. And I'd like to welcome you to a live Q&A series that I'm doing where I'm interviewing clients who are sharing about the small shifts that are bringing the biggest abundance in their relationships, work, and money areas of life so that you can gain insights, tips, and next steps to do the same in your own world. So today I am welcoming Dr. Shannon Tran, who is a client and a friend, an amazing woman that I've had the pleasure to work with. Welcome, Shannon. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And for those of you who are going to be catching the recording, you can continue to put your chats here on Facebook because I'll certainly be circling back. And again, I'd love to hear where people are calling from if you're joining us live, and I'm looking forward to sharing a wonderful conversation. Also, if you have questions or have any aha moments throughout this conversation, please just post them when they arise for you. And Shannon and I will circle back at the end to respond for those of you who are with us here live today. All right. So with that, Shannon, as I mentioned, you are an accomplished professional woman. So maybe you can just begin by telling us a little bit about who you are and what is your purpose, passion, and or profession.
Yeah. So, well, I'm a mom. That's what's most important in my roles and identity right now. And then I consider myself an investor, and that's a new identity that I've been working on. And then I've been a behavioral health manager for, gosh, is it 11 years now, as a licensed clinical psychologist, leading a specialized team in mental health. What else? And passion. Well, I'm really passionate about land conservation and planting trees for my late husband's legacy. And I'm passionate about traveling and really just being the best person I can be wherever I go. And you've definitely helped with that. So yeah, my passion isn't necessarily, it's changed, right, as we evolve. So it's more just very personal and about just showing up in the most empowered way I can. And I feel like when I do that, the world becomes a better place. So it's that simple for me.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for that. Now, Shannon and I have worked on all kinds of growth, evolution, transformation, and in those three areas of life that we're really kind of shining the light on for abundance, relationships, work, and money over the years. And when I asked Shannon to join me in this interview, I thought we were going to be talking about some other things. And life has a way of bringing whatever it brings. And I thought it would be really perfect to talk about what abundance looks like when we're going through hard times. Shannon has been going through a chapter of life that's been challenging. A lot of what I teach comes from everything that I've learned in, hold on here. I got this word pop up in your Facebook. Okay. Sorry about that, technology. So anyway, a lot of what I teach today has come from a chapter of life when I went through back-to-back adversity and hardships, and it really showed me the difference between power and control. And I started to learn, one of the questions I like to ask is, how do we feel powerful when we can't control anything? And so this is where these small shifts that I like to talk about in these interviews really became illuminated. And this is how we get to access the abundance that lives within us and therefore invite that from life itself. So I wanted to have this kind of a conversation with Shannon because it's what's happening real time. And a lot of people are navigating challenging times these days. So with that, Shannon, again, thanks for being here. And so what I'd like to do to start is one of the first shifts that I talk about with my clients is where accomplished professional women get their sense of value and the distinction between power, productivity, and presence. So I like to say that your presence can be infinitely more powerful than your productivity, while accomplished professional women are really good at being productive and hardworking. And so we talk about the difference between being and doing power models. And I was wondering if you could just start sharing a little bit about What has it meant to you to explore the difference between the two, being and doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say, when you shared like our interview through an email about, setting boundaries when someone else is in crisis, I really felt seen. I was like, oh my gosh, is that what I'm doing? Okay, like it was very grounding. And it's such an example of the difference between control versus power. So I think when I've gone through challenges in the past, and I just do my best to speak authentically. So I'm really going to describe it as a shit show, because that's exactly what it is. And if you've been like through a shit show and then another shit show and another shit show, and it's a whole circus of shit shows, then you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And in the past, I think my go-to would be, how can I fix it? Oh my gosh, let me just jump in and do something to make it better, because things are falling apart and I'm trying to grab things. Like there's a bull in the china shop and he's running havoc in my life, and I'm trying to just grab whatever glass I can so it doesn't break, but clearly like there's just too many glasses that are falling, and you're like, which one to save? And finally, I think the difference that I've learned is, when I'm in that state, I'm reactive, I'm not intentional, and I'm actually making things worse, because I'm not really responding in a way that's allowing the highest possibility, whether that's support or actually setting a boundary or making different choices or allowing new possibilities. But that can be really hard to do when you're like in a crisis, or when you're seeing someone else in a crisis, especially if you're like a professional, competent woman. Like the first thing you want to do is, oh, let me problem solve and let me fix it and let me do something about it. And not jumping into that immediately has been the small shift in abundance that I didn't initially see as abundance, but now I do. And now I'm seeing like why it's so important to do that. So does that answer your question in terms of like the difference between power versus, control?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, very, very powerful. So this being model of power that you're tapping into by, what it looks like in terms of the behaviors or the decisions you're making, is you're setting boundaries. Now, what is happening internally for you? What is the benefit of that? Like you talked about being able to, instead of just react to things and try to control things, what is happening in terms of and I think a good way to illuminate what it gives you is to look at, how would you be feeling if you didn't have the tools that you're practicing right now? Okay, in contrast.
Yeah, I think I would feel completely overwhelmed. Not to say I don't have moments where I feel overwhelmed. I think the light's going to turn off because I have an energy efficient office. I would have felt completely overwhelmed, out of control, angry, like depressed. I mean, I think, just really, just pulled into a negative state, I guess you could say, because I've got reasons to, feel all those things. And it's not to say that I don't, but I think it's how I respond to them is creating peace for me. And it's allowing me to access support in ways that I haven't before. That's actually promoting self-care and giving me choices. Right. So instead of the thinking that, oh my gosh, I got to do it all, I got to figure it out, it's all on me, which leads to the doing, I'm now taking a step back and really like, well, what do I need to take care of? And what do I just need to accept? What do I need to ask for support for? Like and I'm learning, even though it's hard, to like be vulnerable, right? Like just because I was getting feedback like, well, you have everything. Like I get feedback that I give the impression that I have, my shit together. And I mean, sometimes people can have that impression of powerful or successful women, that we have our stuff together. It's not that, it's just that we work really hard. And right. So it's not that we have our stuff together. You don't see us when we're, in our bed at night, crying, or like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, or you don't, doing whatever we can to grasp something to cope. People often don't see that because they just see like, well, they must have their stuff together. And I think when we don't, and that's the control piece, right? And I think when we don't learn to just lean back and be vulnerable and authentic and honest and just recognize like, yes, I'm successful, but it doesn't mean I have it all together. It doesn't mean I don't need help, and it doesn't mean I'm like not suffering in some way. It just looks different because the very thing that's allowed me to be successful, which is to be productive and do, is also the same thing that can be the biggest challenge for me getting the support that I need when I really need it. And so what happens is, is like the alternative is then down the road, the person just burns out because they just have nothing left to give. And so they've just completely burned out. And I've seen that so much in my career, which is why I'm so committed to like learning a new way, because so many women haven't learned about the power of presence or learned how to shift or done some of this internal change. And so the alternative is they just keep doing the same thing until they reach total burnout.
Yes. Yeah. And that's only one aspect of the cost. So there's the personal cost of your burnout, your mental health, your physical health. And then there's the ripple effect because you're a leader. So accomplished professional women are leaders. They are responsible for a lot. They're responsible for things that they really care about. And you are a perfect example of this. You lost your husband in the last 16 months. You became mother to 3 teenagers. You're responsible for a huge department. People are looking to you for leadership in a time in the mental health field where, there's a crisis, there's a mental health crisis because of where we are in life. And now you have more people in your personal world that you need to be available for. And it's one of the things that I really love to offer a lens, a shift for accomplished professional women is for you to be who you want to be and serve the people that you love. Support isn't a luxury, nor is it a sign of weakness. It's a non-negotiable and it's actually an asset, but we have to shift our sense of value from my value comes in from my productivity to I am masterful in opening up to inviting and accessing support. And the truth is, and here's it's a big aha. It brings big abundance when people make this small shift, that it's not a matter of where's the support. It's a matter of looking at there's support all around. How do I access it? How do I invite it? How do I receive it? And that's what I see. You've really been practicing that shift to support is what's going to allow me not to burn out and to be available for my kids and the people that I want to. I love how you said the other day, support, but not serve, not to be a servant, but to be a source of support where you're also receiving the support yourself.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, my friend coined that. So I want to give credit where credit is due, but it's really relevant if you're someone who's very caring and you've been in a position where you've been, serving a lot and you're shifting, right? Because it's a subtle but very powerful shift to like, I'm here to support, but not take it on, not fix it for you, not serve you, but here to like support. And it's a different role and it's a different mindset. And it's really a different way of being. And what it's led to, Sonia, in terms of the like practical shift was, so you mentioned the other change. So, last year, my husband died of pancreatic cancer. It was very sudden. It was very traumatic, really, for our family. And then literally like last week, my mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So I'm like, oh my gosh, am I in the twilight zone? The difference though is, and my mom is someone who like was wanting to like land all of it on me. And it was just too much, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still processing this. And like, it's opening the wound in a different level. And I was able to communicate in a firm but loving way, basically like, Mom, I'm here to support you. And I also need to be mindful to not burn myself out. So I'll be responsible for like some of the important decision-making, some of this stuff, but things that are like more simple that other people can take care of, I'm going to hand it off and then I basically told her like, because if I burn out, the whole ship sinks. And she got it because her response was amen. And since then, like, she's dialed it down, which has been great because now I have space to breathe and like, okay, let me work through this time for myself. What's going to work for me? Because, in some of the challenges they have, like some of them are short term, but some of them are like long-term games that you're playing, right? Like there's not like, this is going to be done in a week or in a month. Like some of it is, wow, this is long-term game. And I'm choosing to be in a position where I'm thinking wisely for myself, for the people I love. Do you know what I mean? So when I look back on it, I can say like, well, I made the best decision I could at the time, and I'm proud of the choices I've made. But what I realize is for me, I can't do that alone, or I can, but I'm choosing not to because I have blind spots. And I need like someone like you to kind of help me see where I have a blind spot, because otherwise I would just keep doing what I know, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that the theme here that I see is that the abundance here is in the realm of relationship more than anything. This is your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your peace, your well-being, your relationship with your kids, by your capacity to actually have more presence and availability for them, because you're setting boundaries because this isn't just happening in your personal life. Work is very demanding for you as well right now.
Yeah.
And you're a leader. And so can you tell me, as you just, I realize maybe, I don't know how much you've thought about this. I know I'm always watching out for it, but we lead by example. We lead by our presence. And this is one of those things that when we're being productive, that's easy to quantify how you're being a leader. I'm producing these results. But when you're looking at the power of your presence, what do you suppose your children, what are they gaining from how you are claiming and caring for your space, even when there's crisis and things demanding from you everywhere?
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing that it feels good is, they'll say, Mom, you're a good parent. You're a good person. Like they feel safe, and, they feel safe enough to share things with me, which feels really good. And, just last night, I was kind of, before we got started, I was saying, my son and I got to work through a challenge we were having. And I love it. Like he ended it by saying, let's go on a family drive together, because, that's what we like. And, we'll have dinner together. And so the abundance is like, some people think, oh, wow, abundance. When I make a lot of money, then I'll be able to do things in my relationships. And what I'm realizing is, no, abundance comes first in how you think and how you make decisions. Because what I'm also realizing is I have a lot of abundance, and it started with my thinking, because even when last year when my husband was sick and I was there with him in the hospital, and I think I mentioned to you, like, it was the most profound spiritual experience I had, like not the kind I was wanting, but like just to walk someone through their transition and just be with them in that very intimate moment as they took their last breath. Like I was so lucky, like, wow, this is what it's like to be wealthy. Like I'm not working, I'm getting paid. I get to be fully here for my husband. And it wasn't like, oh, I made the money and then I got to do it. Like, no, I'm so abundant. I'm just choosing this now. And just the support came in and the finances came in when I just chose to be that person who is going to be there for my husband and, take time off. It take time for me to heal. I think I took I don't know, it was like 6 weeks or something. And so that's an abundance that maybe you don't see right away when you're going through challenges, or sometimes we can think backwards, like, oh, this has to happen for me to have abundance. So that's what I noticed in terms of relationships, is just greater connection and intimacy and authenticity. And I mean, what greater abundance is that, right? Like to have just those moments. And going back to what you said a moment ago is, and this is something I'm just really proud of, I'm in a field of work that's very demanding right now. It's very demanding. There's high pressure. People leave all the time. And I'm proud to say, like, I have such a close team that, despite our challenges, and there's challenges sometimes, I lost a team member, but they've really stayed connected and we've worked through together. And that's just based on relationships of abundance, right? Like connection, creating a certain culture, supporting each other. So and that, which keeps me here. Like, so I think what I'm saying, Sonia, is like, this abundance is not quite what I thought it was going to look like. Right. I didn't think it was going to look like this. And I'm learning to see it and receive it and practice the skills you taught me, which is instead of going into lack, like, oh my gosh, I'm going through this, which only creates more distress. I'm like, wow, look at, that's the support, and that's the support, and I'm expanding it. I'm expanding and saying, wow, how does it get any better than this, and what is possible? So I'm staying in the space of having an abundance, not lack, and just like I have nothing, so to speak, if that right, like not enoughness.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. So I think just to make it really, let me just do a time check. Okay, good. Just to make it so people can, anyone who's going through something like this can take away something that they could start practicing right away. I would, you've been practicing these tools that we talk about and we teach, that I teach for a while now. If you had to say, like, this is the one thing that I just keep returning to, what would that be?
Well, there's two. I mean, one is, I know you do those self-soothing meditations, and I like those really help to ground me, because I think when you're going in a crisis, it's so easy to spin, or we'll tell ourselves, I don't have enough time. And honestly, even if it's 5 minutes, and and let's just say it's a 10-minute self-soothing meditation, and you've got 5, all of that counts, because you're just calming your nervous system, and that makes all the difference. And then the other thing is, it's sort of, I use a combination of tools, but like the awareness is super critical. I think you describe it as ALI. I have the awareness, and honestly, when I don't know what else to do, I'll do a Wellington mantra. That's always my go-to. Always. If I don't know what to do, I'm scared, I can't think of anything, I'm, like emotionally paralyzed, so to speak, I'll just be like, I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. I'm willing to see the highest possibility. I'm willing to receive support, even if I don't know how. I'm willing this, right? Because what that does is it just creates space for possibility that I wouldn't have if I'm just stuck in the situation at hand, right? If I'm just focused on the stress and all the challenges and everything that is feeling difficult for me, then that's all I can see. But if I say I'm willing, and I just, I'm willing, that just helps me actually breathe, and it calms down my nervous system, and it actually opens up ideas that I would not have normally seen, that help me solve some of these challenges, or at least relate to them in a different way than what I would have before. Yeah. So that's practical, right? Like, it's just, I'm very willing. I'm willing to like pivot if I need to. I'm willing to like do things differently. I'm willing to like let go of control and surrender. I'm willing to ask for help. I'm willing. So that willingness really opens up a lot of possibility, and just also grounds me. And it's beautiful. Super simple.
Yeah. I really thank you for bringing that, because what that does is it highlights something that, again, back to the small shifts that bring big abundance, the ideas that we stand on and everything that we do at Surpass Your Limits is your consciousness creates your reality. That's the first shift, okay, is like my reality isn't just in what I do and I can make happen, but my consciousness. Now, how do we exercise that power when we can't control things? We have the power to choose. We practice, as I talked in an earlier interview with Thelma, you stop, you practice awareness, you just stop. That's the first part. And then you can become aware of like, where am I directing my attention? So what you talked about here is, am I going to focus on all the things that are going wrong, or what I'm willing to feel, what I'm willing to experience, what I'm willing to invite? And that right there is what has allowed this abundance of support to just keep showing up and showing up and showing up. Even like from moment to moment, when you don't know what the solution is, it keeps revealing itself. And, for everything. And you didn't even mention, after your husband passed away, your brother passed away, what was it, 12 days later?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been just after loss. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you say shit show, it's been a shit show. And there are people who'll be watching this. It's like, finally, somebody who actually gets the shit show I'm going through, because it's like, so your transparency and your generosity of spirit and sharing is, I really appreciate that. I've been through that. I use like to say my what is it? My mess is my ministry, whatever, like what the stuff that I've been through has really informed and allowed, for me to access a peace and a freedom and a power that is only available when you realize I can't control anything. So where's my power now? And it's within, and it's in consciousness. And so, what you're sharing around awareness and willingness and soothing is what keeps inviting the good and the kindness that life is always offering. But we have to be willing to practice those inner world tools to avail ourselves of the support that's already here.
Yeah. And I love that. And I'll add to that too, because this is new for me that I'm noticing, which is a small shift, but it's a profound one, where I'm, in a challenge, but I'm like, okay, Shannon, go and have fun. Like, go get your nails done or go do that, because I am also like creating space to myself to enjoy life, bring in the good. And that's new to me, because in the past I used to think, oh my gosh, I can't do that till this is all handled and blah, blah, right? Like, it's so easy to go down that path. Like, well, when's the shit show going to end so I can finally relax? I mean, you think you've heard me say that. I can't relax until it's all. And I thought, no, Shannon, you're going to like find an hour to enjoy yourself. Whether it like this week, I'm going to take myself to a movie. Like, I'm just learning how to, like, I can be like, there's space for me for joy, happiness, peace, like everything I want to experience, even in the midst of a major shit show. And that's all a reflection of like change in consciousness, the small shifts that you describe, but also really like being mindful of your, what you describe, which is your consciousness creates, right?
Yeah, thank you. That just reminded me of one of my favorite quotes, which is, life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And that's your beautiful example of that. It's like life is now.
Yeah.
And we have those moments, and it's up to us to claim those moments of joy and peace and self-care, and that which you give your attention to, what you focus upon flourishes. So that's what brings in more. So that's how abundance happens. It's acknowledging and claiming what's here now, not someday in the future when all these conditions are fulfilled.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to start to wrap it up. And as I do, again, anyone who's listening live, if you have any questions, this is a great time to post them. I'm just going to make a couple announcements before we sign off. So please post any comments or questions if you have them for us. It's always hard to tell here on Facebook Live with the Zoom interface if who's here live or not. So I'll come back for the recordings if not. And a couple things, if you are enjoying what you are learning and hearing here at these interviews and this live Q&A, please join me on May 18th. I have a brand new masterclass called What If It Was Easy? 3 simple steps to stop settling, stop waiting, and get what you want now. So we talked about that today. The abundance is here now, not someday in the future. And the ALI that Shannon was talking about is the 3 simple steps where we really get to learn how to receive what is here now. And our next interview is going to be Wednesday, the 10th, next week at 10 a.m. So come on back, and these recordings will go out on YouTube and on Facebook. So just check in and let me know if you can't find them. So with that, Shannon, thank you so much. It doesn't look like we have questions today, so we're going to wrap it up. You've been very generous. Thank you so much. I know this is going to help a lot of people. Sending love and blessings your way. And thanks for being here.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.